Hello, my name is Am, and welcome back to my channel. Alright guys, Shingeki Day. Yeah, that last episode, incredible, right? Just ended on such a fascinating note, emotional note, unfortunate note as well. Armin dying right at the end. But he died so they could beat the Colossal Titan, and they certainly did that, right? Eren took him. Eren took out the Colossal Titan, and now they have Bertolt in their possession. Limbs chopped off. The iconic imagery of his limbs chopped off from the post-credit scene in episode 12. So, of course, super excited to see how it all plays out. The aftermath of Armin's incredible sacrifice. But before I go any further, if you're interested in full length for this episode or even early access to the next episode right now, right after this, consider checking out the Patreon page. Check out some of the listings there. Perhaps something might catch your eye, and in doing so, you'll be supporting the channel. Consider subscribing to the channel. There is a schedule in place now. Every single thing has its own specific day, and yeah, consider subscribing and turning on notifications. And if you enjoy this, consider dropping a like. That really does help the channel as well. So yeah, I think that's about it. Also check out the pinned comment for links to my social media and links to my Patreon page, and any important information is always listed in the pinned comment or updated in the pinned comment. So that's about it. Let's get right into this episode. Holy shit. Are they gonna meet? Holy shit.
信じてほしい。俺はお前の理解者だ。俺たちはあの父親の被害者。お前は父親に洗脳されている。
There it is.
父さん。おい、嘘だろ。ここまで追ってきやがった。
Oh. It
わかったよ、リヴァイ。痛み分けで手を打て。
wasn't a draw, man.
エレン、いつかお前を救い出してやるからな。逃げた。
That's not his brother. Holy shit, he's live?
君が手足を切り落とされる前、最後の力で取り出そうとしたものだぞ。
The promise.
自決用の薬。手紙？何の手紙？
ユミルの手紙だ。クリスタに必ず渡してほしい。やった！やったぞ！
Holy shit, man.
アルミンを巨人にしてベルトルトを食わせるんですよ。早く注射をください。
He wants to check.
ハチさん。
Oh. Oh, I got Reiner. Oh my god, Reiner got away again.
リヴァイ、兵長、やっと追いついた。 エルヴィン団長が重傷です。兵長、この注射はエルヴィンに打つ。さっきアルミンに使うって。俺は人類を救える方を生かす。
He gets the final call. This music.
邪魔をするな。エレン、市場を捨てろ。市場を捨てろ。さっき注射をすぐに渡さなかったのは何なんですか？エルヴィンが生きている。その可能性が頭にあったからだ。
You take it easy, Mikasa.
おい、人類を救うのはエルヴィン団長だ。
黙ってて。
黙ってられるか。お前らばっかりが辛いと思うなよな。まだ知らないだろうけど、あの壁の向こう側に生きてる兵士はもう誰もいねえ。まだ息のある団長を見つけた時はとどめを刺そうとした。でもそれじゃならないと思った。この人にはまだ地獄が必要なんじゃないかって。そして分かったんだ。巨人を滅ぼすことができるのは悪魔だ。悪魔を蘇らせる、それが俺の使命だったんだ。ハンジ、
I have so much to.
おい、嘘だろ。こんなの。
私たちにはエルヴィンがまだ必要なんだ。あの壁の中で希望の灯火を絶やしてはならないんだよ。それはアルミンにだってできる。確かにアルミンは逸材だ。だがまだエルヴィンの経験と統率力が。調査兵団に入った時から別れの日々だ。
ハンジだ。
Oh, moble.
でも分かっているだろ。誰にだっていつかは別れる日が来るって。とてもじゃないけど受け入れられないよ。
Oh, that's beautiful.
母さんの敵と巨人を殺すことと何かを憎むことしか頭になくて。でもこいつは違うんです。アルミンは戦うだけじゃない、夢を見ている。アルミン、まただ。
だからまずは海を見に行こうよ。
に
見てろよ、絶対あるんだから。
このまま地下室に行きたい。まったくどいつもこいつもガキみてえにわめき散らしやがって。
みんな何かに酔っ払ってねえとやってられなかったんだな。
エルヴィン。
Oh, wow, he's like reliving that moment.
どうやって調べたんですか。夢を諦めて死んでくれ。新兵
Let
たち
him
を
rest,
地獄
man.
に導け。
Let him rest.
獣の巨人は俺が仕留める。リヴァイ、ありがとう。
Oh, you give it to Armin. Oh my god. Rest easy, Bertolt. Rest easy.
こいつを許してやってくれないか。こいつは悪魔になるしかなかった。それを望んだのは俺たちだ。
Wow.
その上、一度は地獄から解放されたこいつを再び地獄に呼び戻そうとした。だがもう休ませてやらねえと。エルヴィン、獣を仕留
He'll
め
never
る
stop.
だがまだ先になりそうだ。
もう死んだよ。
そうか。
Holy shit. Whoa. Incredible. Man, this ending really hits hard right about now. Armin is the Colossal Titan. Whoa. Alright, man. So, yeah, another incredible episode. That's 3 in a row now. And all 3 have made me shed a few tears. It's emotional stuff, you know. A lot of the stuff that's happened over the span of these past 3 episodes has been quite emotional, you know, deeply affecting. Yeah, just you know, I'm really looking forward to getting into it and, you know, unpacking some of the things that have happened. But before I get into the episode proper, I simply need to get to that scene instantly, like as soon as possible. The scene of Eren and Zeke, the war chief, meeting. Now, I've been holding this in for the span of the episode as, you know, the enthralling episode played to its incredible conclusion. I had to hold this in. Again, you know, I'm not going to start talking about things or start going on tangents. That's just on my style. There's a time and place, and this is the time and place for that. The discussion portion, the analysis portion. So the scene itself, Eren meeting Zeke. Just, you know, right in the beginning of the episode, just a prospect of that was quite exciting. And, you know, they ended up meeting. And going back to my episode 12 discussion, or maybe the trailer discussion, you know, I brought up the possibility of them potentially meeting, right? And even speaking to each other. This is more so Zeke kind of saying things to Eren. Eren was in no position to actually hold a conversation, right? He was so... He wasn't even able to register some of the things Zeke is saying, right? It all felt so random to him. And of course, it's a high, you know, tension, high risk situation as he's got, you know, Bertolt ready in his arms, you know, to execute Bertolt if Zeke makes a move. But, you know, some of the things Zeke said here, holy shit. This is probably one of the most exciting developments so far in these past 5 episodes, and that's kind of insane to say right after the things that have happened in these 5 episodes. Now then, back in episode 6, I said, or I came to the conclusion that the Beast Titan, or the Titan shifter in the Beast Titan, I have a name now, Zeke, is related to Grisha Jaeger, and I theorized that this is his brother, and I strongly felt that. I strongly felt that this is his brother. And, you know, I I thought that it's his brother because of the look. It just felt like they might be around the same age, right? So my first thought was immediately to a sibling, that, you know, this is probably his brother, most likely. So there, you know, and this episode finally gave me something substantial on that end. You know, it's as substantial as it gets, you know, short of Zeke himself saying it, you know. It's like right there. The show has given us more than enough information at this point. One specific scene in particular has just, you know, blown my mind and changed some of my thought process on this theory. So I think after this scene, it's fair to say that they are related. And he certainly has some interesting thoughts on Grisha. Certainly doesn't seem to have much love for Grisha Jaeger. You know, he tells Eren that they are both victims of Grisha Jaeger, and that he, Eren that is, has been brainwashed by Grisha. Now, the substantial moment, or the moment that seemingly confirms that they are related, and, you know, kind of confirms my thoughts on him having such a similar look to Grisha, or resemblance to Grisha, so much so that I thought that this is his brother, is as he's speaking to Eren, there's that scene, that, you know, the seamless transition from Zeke to Grisha, right? Perfectly seamless, right? I mean, that scene is as close as I'm gonna get to them confirming that yes, they are related, right? It's as clear as it gets. Now then, as you noticed, I said they are not brothers, right? That's the theory I've held for a long time now. But after this episode, no, they are not brothers. Now, the reason I came to that conclusion is a few different things. It's, you know, this scene, right, of him approaching Eren and speaking of Grisha, right, and, you know, again, that seamless transition from Zeke's face to Grisha's face, mix that in with the stuff he was talking about in the last episode, right, the perfect game, about how he's not like his father, right? And, you know, that sparked a discussion about how he has his own problems, right? Zeke, that is. And, you know, and then I was going on about how he's introducing a new father figure in the story. Turns out that he probably wasn't talking about a completely new father figure. I think he was talking about a father figure that has existed or has been part of this story for a long time, since the beginning. Right then, so that's not his brother. My new theory now, and I think I can say with confidence at this point, just, you know, taking all that information into account, I think Grisha is his father. I think this is a different son from a different marriage or a different wife, but I think this is not his brother, but Zeke is Grisha's son, and I think this is the father figure he was talking about in the last episode. And again, you know, it was clear in that last episode that he is trying to be different from this father figure, and, you know, this conversation with Eren seemingly confirms that. You know, he has nothing nice to say about Grisha, right? So you put two and two together, I think there's enough information there for me to say with confidence that, you know, they are related. First of all, that's almost a foregone conclusion at this point. But, you know, I'm going to switch it from him being his brother to him being his son. And if I'm on the right track, that is just insane. Oh, man. And, you know, right, you know, I said that I initially thought that they're brothers because of maybe the look, and, you know, he kind of looked like the same age as Grisha or close to it. Certainly younger. He looked close to the same age, but certainly younger. And I was basing that off of just the few times they showed him outside of the Beast Titan, right? First time in the season 2 finale, and then again after he beats down Reiner and, you know, exits the Beast Titan. And then, of course, to show him earlier this season, or in the last few episodes in Descent, they showed him clearly on top of the wall as they're, having, a nice cup of coffee and discussing a few things. The thing is, he's a Titan shifter, and like it's been established that the age of the Titan shifter is not the easiest thing to pinpoint. And also I think the blonde hair kind of almost aged him even more, so it was kind of difficult to pinpoint the age. But yeah, I'm gonna switch it over, man. It's not his brother. I think that's his son from a different marriage, I guess. And again, that is insane that that there's more than enough information to come to that conclusion at this point. I've been saying for some time now, Grisha Yeager is such a interesting and fascinating character, man. His past, they gave me some insight on his past in episode 11, right? Bystander. But that was just his past up until, reaching the walls, right? There's still a full past, behind that, before that. And this is part of it, I believe. So his past is... there is still so much more exciting stuff to get to, clearly. And again, if he is his father and there is another wife back home or back in his hometown, this place they all come from, how come he left them, right? But then again, the question I raised before is that, it's possible that he had to escape, right? It's not a foregone conclusion that he left by choice. So yeah, again, high on that list, right? More of Grisha Yeager's past. I need it, man. I need it, especially after this bombshell. Now, if I stay on that point, that this is Grisha's son, his other son, that makes him Eren's half-brother. If this is all true, insane. But, staying on that point, if that is the case, it's been established that he doesn't like this father figure, and that father figure potentially being Grisha, so much so that he doesn't want to be anything like him, right? They established that he wants to be different, or that he is different than his father. So, what exactly did Grisha do, or what exactly did they disagree on that it fostered this kind of resentment from Zeke, who's certainly a Jaeger? I think that much I can say for sure, right? The new theory is that this is the son, a different son. But I think at this point in time, it's safe to say that, yeah, they are related. This is Zeke Jaeger. But yeah, so, the big thing coming out of this, or one of the big things coming out of this, or talking points, is that he thinks that both of them are victims of Grisha. So then you have to start looking for similarities, or things that both Zeke and Eren have in common, right? The first thing that immediately, jumps in my mind, or jumps to the front, is the fact that they are both Titans, or Titan shifters, right? That's the first thing that they share in common. And the second major talking point is that he tells Eren that Grisha has brainwashed him, right? Now, is this something that he feels happened to him as well, and he has some kind of sympathy for Eren, right? Because he was certainly, coming face to face with Eren, he was fascinated by Eren. You didn't see that same hate or resentment he had for, these other soldiers and stuff, right? There is certainly a sympathetic disposition at this point in time, as he's talking to Eren and, looking at him. He's fascinated by him. I think that much was clear. But going back to the brainwashing concept or idea he's bringing up, is this something that happened to him? Is this something that he feels Grisha did to him as well? And now he thinks that he did the same thing to this other son, Eren. Or is he just projecting, right? Is he just projecting? Because at this point in time, I can't say that Grisha has done anything that I could categorize as brainwashing, right? I even brought up the point in one of the past episodes, maybe in my season 12 discussion, that it should be noted that Grisha didn't push anything on him, right? Going back to episode 1 of the series, he he almost kind of, you know, took the chance once Eren brought up, you know, wanting to be a scout or wanting to know more about the outside, you know, wanting to know more about stuff that's going on outside the walls, right? Then he took an interest and he told him, I'll tell you everything once I come back, you know, I'll tell you what's in the basement. And of course, it never happened. So I didn't feel like he pushed anything on Eren, right? Nothing as substantial as brainwashing him, right? I mean, the one substantial thing that he did put on him is making him a Titan shifter, right? Again, that has its own burdens, and it does, you know, it did change Eren's life. And of course, you know, he gave him the founding Titan and made him a major target for, you know, these people, the warrior crew. But again, nothing that I could qualify as brainwashing. So is it possible that he's projecting and just assuming that this half-brother probably received the same treatment as him? Zeke, that is. Or is he just assuming that that Grisha has told him everything about his past at this point, right? I guess that is a fair assumption to make on Zeke's end, you know, that Grisha might have told him all about his past. He was about to, he wanted to, but of course, the Colossal Titan kicked in a hole on that day, kicked in a gate, and everything changed, right? So perhaps Zeke is assuming that Grisha has told Eren everything there is to know about Grisha's past. And does he consider Grisha's past, or the information that Grisha could potentially tell Eren, information that could be considered brainwashing, right? So if you look at it from Zeke's perspective, that's how I'm taking this, that he believes or feels that, you know, that at this point in time, Grisha might have brainwashed him, right? So exciting developments coming out of this scene or this meeting. And if that wasn't exciting enough, if that wasn't fascinating enough, he drops yet another bombshell as he turns around. He said, one day I'm going to return to rescue you, right? Again, you know, that goes back to the point of him being fascinated and almost having a sympathetic disposition relating to Eren, that is. And now he tells him, I'm going to rescue you. Again, Eren is just absolutely confused by all of this. But this... does he mean I'll rescue you from these people? You know, again, they've established that they consider them an evil race, a filthy race. Is that what he's saying? Right? Is the implication here that he wants to rescue them, or sorry, he wants to rescue Eren from these people because he wants to help him, or it certainly didn't feel like he wants to kill Eren, right? But that being said, Eren does have the founding Titan, right? That was part of their mission, to recover the founding Titan. And in order to take that founding Titan from Eren, they would have to get someone to consume him as a Titan, right? So conflicting thoughts there, right? He's saying he wants to rescue him, but he knows that Eren has the founding Titan. He's been briefed about all that. He knows. So yeah, you know, this whole idea about rescuing Eren someday is quite interesting as well. And again, you know, it raises questions about Zeke. On one end, I know him as the war chief of this the warrior crew, and their, you know, main mission was to recover the coordinate, or yeah, they call it the coordinate. But I've been calling it the founding Titan because I just know it as founding Titan. Though I know it as both. But I just usually call it the founding Titan. And of course, Eren is has the founding Titan, right? So that was their main mission, right? But then he's also saying that he wants to rescue Eren, right? So it's not as simple as just taking Eren back and taking the founding Titan or the coordinate from him, right? But that is how you take it back, right? You have to get someone to, you know, consume the holder, right? But then again, just like his demeanor there, and him saying that he wants to rescue Eren, does that even mean that he potentially thinks he could turn Eren, right? That's a possibility, since he is saying he wants to rescue Eren. And that contradicts the whole concept of taking the founding Titan by getting someone else to consume the person, right? Or taking a Titan shifter's abilities by making someone else consume them. So that's another possibility, right? That Zeke, at this point in time, might think that he could maybe undo some of this brainwashing that he's speaking of, right? And maybe he could, you know, bring Eren on their side. That could be a possibility, right? It's not going to happen. Not in a million years. You know, getting Eren to switch sides is just simply not going to happen. But I'm throwing that out there as a possibility, based on his demeanor in this meeting. And again, you know, I'm just starting to learn more about Zeke. As I said a few episodes ago, he's just now starting to be established as a character, right? Outside of being the Beast Titan. So I don't know. I don't know anything about his past, right? It certainly sets up for a fascinating, you know, backstory, that's for sure. So yeah, you know, I really don't know much about him at this point. So for all I know, he could have his own plans for things, right? Just like Kenny said in this episode, right? That was a big aspect of this episode. Kenny's whole, everyone has to be drunk on something, right? Everyone is a slave to something. So, hey man, Zeke, this war chief, Eren's half brother potentially, could have his own plans, right? I know next to nothing about him other than a few things, of course. But again, the backstory is going to shed light on that, right? His backstory, more of Grisha's backstory, and how it all played out. So exciting stuff. And notice how he also noted that Eren doesn't look much like his father, or he looks nothing like him. I think that's what he said. And as he's saying this, you know, it's a close-up, or before he said that, it's a close-up of Eren's eyes, right? So is he, you know, kind of looking at Eren and noticing that he doesn't look anything like his father, but those eyes, those are certainly Grisha's eyes, right? It's similar to Keith. Remember he said, oh, you have such a strong resemblance to Carla, but those fangs that lurk deep within your eyes, those are definitely Grisha's. So yeah, man, fascinating stuff. Just that one scene in the beginning. I knew something exciting was gonna come out of it the moment I, you know, figured out that, oh, they're about to meet, right? So that got me really excited, and it was quite a payoff, the first face-to-face meeting. Now, before I move on from this scene, now that you know, that the shot of the transition from Zeke's face to Grisha's face, the seamless transition, was that just for us, the audience, or was that Eren kind of clocking that? You know, was that Eren's experience of looking at him? I'm not 100% sure, because that could be exciting if that's Eren looking at Zeke and noticing the striking resemblance to his own father, Grisha. So I'm not sure. You know, there's no way of knowing for sure if that was just for the audience or if Eren is actually clocking that resemblance. But yeah, you know, speaking of the war chief, again, it was so clear that he's out of commission, right? He's not going to be able to transform anytime soon. And he ended up rescuing Reiner. Once again, Reiner got out of it, man. This guy, he's like a cat. You know, escaped from the jaws of a potential death in jaws of a different sort, right? In the form of jaws of a different sort, the Scout Titan. So, right, yeah, both of them are out of commission. They cannot transform, so they have to retreat to live and fight another day. And they'll certainly fight another day. You know, they'll mount another attack at some point, but that's got to be at a later point. This felt like a conclusion to this battle of Shiganshina. And they had to retreat, and they'll certainly come back at some point. Or, you know, they'll certainly come face to face at some point. And at this point in time, both sides have experienced the other side, right? So they've had their first battle, and they've both taken a beating. You know, both sides have taken a beating. You know, two of them escaped. You know, of course, the war chief, Zeke, and then Reiner, who I think you just have to assume he's just going to escape any situation he's in at this point. I think even Reiner might get sick of it at some point, always, being ready to die, and then he gets rescued or he escapes death. And he certainly, in this episode, it looked like he was ready to die. He accepted it, and he was not going to break and give them any information, right? But yeah, the Scout Titan rescued them. Speaking of the Scout Titan, he really is the MVP, right? He really came clutch for their side. Like, he rescued the chief, then he rescued Reiner. I really hope he gets a nice juicy steak or something back home. I'm still not sure if this is the permanent form of this Scout Titan, or if there is a human, a Titan shifter. They haven't made it clear yet if, this is a new type of intelligent Titan that's always in the Titan form. The strangest Titan form I've seen, the strangest Titan shifter I've seen, if it is the case, and there is a human in there. I want to see what that human looks like. So yeah, both sides have faced some losses, and now they'll know a bit more about each other the next time they meet, right? And that's going to change it up again. Now they know each other, right? They know how each side kind of functions and what kind of things they bring to the table. So it's going to evolve the strategies the next time they meet. And they are going to meet again at some point on the battlefield, right? In some situation. But yeah, losses on both sides. Most of the scouts have been cleared out, as that red hair, the guy with the strange hair, the red hair guy who brought the commander back on the roof. He pointed out that, yeah, everyone on that side of the wall is dead. So that means the only ones left are those, that select few, the handful of them. The remaining Levi squad, Hanji, and this red-haired guy. I think Aaron said his name. I know the spelling, like I saw it in the subtitles. I can't quite pronounce it because I only heard it once, but I'll call him the red-haired guy for now. And then yeah, Moblit, of course, quick thinking. His final move was to save Hanji, right? So much respect to Moblit. He's been around for some time as well, similar to Marlowe. So, there's been losses on both sides. The scouts got decimated for the most part, right? Until it took some substantial plays, like the commander making that final charge, like Armin sacrificing himself to defeat the Colossal Titan, or holding on long enough that he could be defeated. But yeah, and on the Warrior side, of course, they got both Reiner and Zeke. They took a beating. They're out of commission, and then of course they lost Bertolt. Yes, so it was a goodbye to another major character that's been around for a long time. It's a character I've liked alongside Reiner from the beginning, so it was sad to see him go, especially in that manner. But he said it himself, man, the world is just that cruel. And oh man, how about that haunting and heartbreaking moment of him coming to, and then seeing Eren and Mikasa, Connie, and Sasha and all them, and his first thought, maybe he wasn't complete. Well, I mean, not maybe. I think he wasn't into it. He wasn't completely, coherent yet. And the moment he woke up, he sees them. He's like, "Oh, my friends are here. They'll save me." But then it kicks in, and he's like, "Oh shit," right? And then he screams for Reiner or Annie. That was a heartbreaking moment, though. That one of his final thoughts was, "Oh, my friends are there." That he still had that in his mind. That somewhere in his mind that thought is still there, right? And that being said, he confirmed it, right? "You are my dear comrades," right? He said something like that to Armin in Descent. He understood that, these are people he cares for, but they just happen to be on opposite sides and they have to die for the cause, or, for the mission. So yeah, it's a goodbye to Bertolt as well. A lot of major losses, man. The commander, Bertolt, And then you have people like Moblit, secondary characters perhaps, but they've been around for a long time, so it is sad to see them go. Right then, so let's get into it. The serum conflict, or the schism, right? Man, that was so draining, so emotionally draining. And I can imagine how draining it must have been for the voice actors. Incredible, just incredible performances on display. Deeply moving and affecting. Kudos to them, much respect for those performances. I'll get into that in a bit. But at the end, right, I'll begin by the choice, the final choice, and I'll kind of go back and get into some of the other stuff. But at the end of the day, Levi ended up going against the grain. Perhaps it was his turn to make the selfish choice. Now, again, on that end, I'm sure different people have different takes on this. I'm sure, it's a big fandom, the Shingeki fandom, and there's a lot of fans, and I'm sure there's fans on each side of the conflict, or, I'm sure there's so many for the commander and there's so many for Armin. And before I move any further, I think at the end of the day, there was only going to be one choice, really, based on the stuff they've set up in the last few episodes. So going back to Levi, perhaps he made the illogical choice in many people's eyes, or perhaps an impulsive choice, right? But it was his choice. And he coherently made that choice, right? And he let his dear friend finally rest. It certainly wasn't in humanity's interest or best interest, right? Again, they established in the last episode that there are people, important people, and other people that are, kind of just on standby for the news, or just to, know how it all went down. So these choices affect a lot of people, They established that in the last episode as well. Or, they don't need to establish that. That's, that's a given. But they brought it up so the audience, it can be in the audience's headspace again. These choices matter to a lot of people, right? And if you're gonna ask a lot of the people back in the walls, or they're still in the walls, but like back home, I guess, they're gonna tell you that the choice is a simple one. They would have said the commander, right? Again, it's all about perspective, and different people are gonna pick different people, but if you're going to ask a lot of the people in positions of power or leadership positions, or just a lot of people, even like the common folk, they're going to say the commander, right? They know the commander is the spearhead. They don't know Armin. Yes, Armin is an incredible individual, but the people back home, they know the commander, right? They know that he is a leader, and that he has the experience. And Hanji explained that, and she tried to explain that to Mikasa, that listen, man, Armin is incredible, he's exceptional, but he does not have the experience of the commander, or the leadership qualities of the commander, right? You can't just learn that overnight. That takes decades of experience, and the commander had that, right? Decades of experience, that is. So the humanity within the walls, they would have picked, I think the majority of them would have picked the commander, because again, Armin, as incredible as he is, he's only known by a handful of these scouts, and that's about it, right? So yeah, but the incredible thing is that Levi makes this choice knowing that they're going to lose their spearhead. He knows this, right? And I think that's a beautiful part of it, that he chooses to overlook all of that, and he knows they're going to lose the spearhead and this symbol in favor of letting his dear friend rest, right? And I keep saying choice, but I don't think it was really a choice he made in terms of, oh, I'm picking Armin over the commander. I don't think it was a case of Levi thinking that Armin is the better choice here. I don't think that at all. I think it was more so in this case, he decided to look beyond that, right? He decided to look at it from a human level. He decided to look at it from a personal level, and in this case, his friend, his dear friend, right? And he decided it's time to let him go. It's time to let him rest. And again, from the storytelling perspective, or the stuff they've set up in this story, it was going to be Armin. It had to be Armin. And you know, I even said in the perfect game that this really is the perfect conclusion for the commander's arc, because of the implications of it and how they got to that point, how Levi helped him get to that point, right? It really felt like a definitive moment in an arc. So it really would have been shocking if the choice here was the commander. And I'll get into it in a bit later, you know, of the potential if it was the commander. But I'm speaking of it from the storytelling perspective and the things they've set up. You know, it was going to be Armin. So that's not shocking that it was Armin. And once again, this episode goes back to that beautiful moment. You know, one of the best scenes of the whole series. You know, that heart to heart. I think I'm just gonna call it that, man. It was a heart to heart. You know, the commander and Levi in the perfect game, as he goes to one knee and, you know, he tells him, "I'm making the choice for you." That was such a powerful scene and such an important one. And in that sense, he actually made the call to free him back then, right? He set him free at that moment, right? So this moment here of not resurrecting him or not giving him the serum is just a continuation of that, or realizing that, okay, you know, it's time to set him free. And he already did that by, you know, taking, you know, by going, at that point in time, he goes on one knee and he tells him, "I'm making the choice for you." That right there, that set him free. That set the commander free, because it took such an immense burden off his shoulders, right? And, you know, it freed him from that impossible choice, right? It freed the commander of that impossible choice. Levi took it from him, right? He took that burden from him. And the moment that broke me in this episode, really, the moment that really hurt me, or that was so emotionally moving, is the continuation of that scene. You know, showing the commander smiling and thanking Levi. Oof. I saw that and, like, yeah, man, that broke me. You know, that, and then you know, it transitions into that shot of Levi, just, you know, the bottom half of his face. Powerful stuff, man. Emotional stuff. But again, you know, that smile, it has so much meaning behind it, right? At first, he had a bit of a surprised look, and then you know, that smile of the relief, right? You can see the relief on the commander's face. And, you know, they continue that here by showing us the commander thanking Levi. So, you know, after setting him free in that moment, you just cannot bring him back now, right? And Levi understands that. Now then, in terms of a what-if scenario or situation, if the show actually pulled a shocker and brought the commander back as the new Colossal Titan or Titan Shifter, I do think he would have been effective. After a time, of course, you know, coming back like that, you can't just expect him to slot right back in and you know, pick up where he left off. It would take time, right? So he would be back in a different capacity, or he would be... he would just be around in a different capacity, you know. Maybe he would even step back and let Hanji become the commander, even in his presence, right? I feel like even if they brought him back, he could have been effective, because he is an individual. I mean, sorry, he is an incredible individual, right? That's for sure. So yeah, he could have been effective, but again, you can't just expect him to slot right back in and just put on that facade again, right? So, you know, Levi really did know how tormented he was, and he actually even saw it firsthand again on his deathbed as he's about to inject him. And then, you know, his mind just goes back to that moment, that crucial moment of him being in the classroom asking that question that changed it all for him and his father, right? You know, the inquisitive mind of a young prodigy, but unfortunately he got his father killed. So that was the definitive ghost of this character arc, of the commander's character arc. You know, the guilt and the burden he carried from an early age, and then it just compiled and, you know, grew bigger and bigger as he became the commander, and then sent other people to die for the cause, you know, Shinzo Sasageo, but that was just a mask for his true pursuit, you know, this obsession, this dream he had to prove his father right. And again, you know, the obsession also, it's there because the guilt he feels for, you know, getting his father killed, right? And then speaking of it just piling on and turning into a mountain of guilt, it was depicted in episode 14, right? The mountain of corpses that he stands upon, the burden and the guilt. So after freeing him from all of that in the perfect game, right? The dream and then the burden and the guilt that came in the pursuit, or from the pursuit of that dream, that long journey, right? He realized that he simply cannot, you know, put him through that again. He cannot just bring him back to be a demon again, right? Ask him to be a demon again. And he knew it's time to let his friend rest. And he also took guidance from Kenny's final moments, right? In his decision. It played a part in his decision, that's for sure. And, you know, speaking of Kenny, remember how in my episode 10 discussion I said that, you know, even in death, Kenny might be responsible for a seismic shift down the line. Yeah, he certainly played a part here, right? He played a major part, actually, in this episode for a few different reasons. You know, first of all, his parting gift, his final gift to Levi, is now responsible for bringing the might of the Colossal Titan to their side, right? So they have two Titan shifters on their side now. That certainly evens the odds a bit more than before, right? Now, you know, that was just one part of it, right? The seismic shift of bringing the Colossal Titan to their side. More on that later. But, you know, the other important or major aspect of this is, you know, his parting thought process on how everyone has to be drunk on something, or had to be drunk on something to make it through, right? The other part of that being everyone is enslaved by something, or is a slave to something, right? That played a major part in this decision. So there's two sides to this as well, right? The first side, you know, everyone had to be drunk on something, you know, again implying that everyone needed a drive to keep going, something to be drunk on, to keep going. And in this particular case, the two sets of dreams, Armin's and the commander's. And this certainly made it a point to show us Armin's dreams in, you know, detail throughout this episode, and in extension to that, his driving force, right? And then again, you know, I've said it a few times, but, you know, Levi essentially asked the commander to give up on his dream and, you know, go and die, right? He made that difficult choice for him, that the impossible call really for him. And in that moment, the commander was at ease. He was at ease, and there was relief on his face, and he was ready to, you know, move on. So that certainly might have played a part in this decision, right? Because, you know, on one end, Levi's asked him to give up on all of this, right? Essentially, you know, giving up on his driving force. So I think that probably played a part in this. And then, you know, they show us a scene from episode 12 in the office, right? And he's asking the commander about his plans for after the dream, if he, you know, potentially fulfills his dream. And then the commander's reply at that moment is, "I'm not sure yet," right? I don't know if I like that implication, or the implication of that moment, showing us that moment. I feel like they're implying that, you know, maybe the commander might not be as effective once he realizes that dream, right? That he might not have the driving force once he gets to that. But then on the opposite end, you know, Armin's driving force is stronger than ever, and then it's going to be something that's going to drive him on for years, right? So I feel like the show was trying to imply that. I don't know if I like that implication, though. I do think even if, say, he did come back, I think he could have been effective, right? He's Commander Smith. Of course he could have been effective. Again, in a different capacity, taking a different approach, but I don't think he would have been ineffective or anything even if, you know, he fulfilled his dream. Then you just kind of move on to the next phase of his life, right? The next mission in life. But then the other side of this is, you know, Kenny's idea of, you know, being a slave to something, or being enslaved by something. And like I said earlier, you know, Levi knew all about that as well. The commander was certainly a slave to this guilt-ridden dream of his, right? And all the, you know, the pressure and the burden and the guilt that compiled because of it. Levi knew all about it, right? So he understood both sides of it. and he freed him from it, right? He again, like I said, he set him free in the perfect game, so he understood. This was just kind of, you know, staying with that move, or staying with that choice, right? Staying true to that choice by not bringing him back and putting him through all this all over again, you know, the hell. Now, jumping to Armin, at one point in the episode, Eren starts listing off all the things and the plans Armin's accomplished, right? He was responsible for a lot of major breakthroughs. You know, he's listing them out, and as he's listing them out, they're showing us the scenes right there. The scenes are flashing in, you know, quite a bit of detail. Like, they're re-showing us some of the scenes as quick as they can, of course. So in that sense, you know, the show is trying to remind the audience, or trying to get the audience ready for this imminent choice, you know, and reminding them, oh, remember, Armin's done these things. Don't forget, you know, he's done some substantial things here, and he's responsible for some major breakthroughs, and that he is capable of this, you know, moving forward. So they are getting the audience ready in that sense. But also in that sense, I could tell that the narrative is leaning towards Armin being the choice, or the right choice at this moment in time. I certainly got that feeling, you know, that they are kind of leaning towards Armin in the way they presented a lot of the things in this episode. Especially this scene in particular, you know, showing us scenes of all the things he's done, getting the audience ready for that. Essentially, I'm trying to say that, you know, there's a clear effort to establish Armin as the right choice at this moment in time. You know, at the end of the day, there isn't really a right choice in this. Like, either way, you're losing such a substantial member of the scouts, right? So it's kind of like a really bitter, not even sweet, you know. You can't, I guess you could say it's a bittersweet moment, but yeah, there's no winners or losers here, man. This is just a really unfortunate situation for them to be in. They're gonna lose someone really important regardless, right? But you know, the one thing I really liked is this this red-haired fellow. You know, he mustered up the courage to speak out and stand up to Mikasa and Eren. You know, he worked up the courage to remind them that, you know, don't act like you're the only ones that are affected by this, right? And he's spot on. They're not. You know, I brought up this concept in the last episode, that there are others out there fighting for the same cause, putting their lives on the line, and these choices matter to them, right? Just as much as it matters to them. And again, you know, good for him. I like that he spoke up about this, and you know, it kind of gives us a perspective from one of these people that are on the outskirts, perhaps, you know, not part of this tight-knit Levi squad group that has kind of been together for a long time, right? The 104th. So I really like this the introduction of this guy. I mean, he's been around for some time, you know, since the beginning of this part of the season. I think they even showed him in the finale, right? Episode 12, right? The mid-season finale. But yeah, now he's taken a step up, right? And he played a bit of a substantial role in this, because not only did he stand up to them and, you know, give us an alternative take from an outsider's perspective. He, you know, something he said really affected Levi's decision as well, I think. But regardless of that, you know, Eren and Mikasa didn't really care much for that. At that point in time, it was an emotional decision for them. You know, they were only dead set on having their lifelong friend back, right? And that's understandable. Of course, that's understandable. And he was also right in calling Mikasa and Eren out for being out of line. Or I don't know if he specifically said that, but I do think, yeah, Eren and Mikasa are out of line at moments of this episode. Again, it's, you know, it's a life and death situation, so emotions play a major role in this, and you lose control of your emotions. Mikasa certainly lost control, you know, jumped the commander. Eren lost control as well. But yeah, you know, it's an emotionally charged episode, and you can forgive some of these things, given, you know, that their lifelong friend, his life is on the line at this point, so they're fighting, right? They're fighting for him. They're fighting for Armin, but they are out of line. Let's not forget that they are out of line in this episode. And you know, I like that this character, this red-haired fellow, is kind of like, he's calling them out. Essentially, he was calling them out as, you know, being a bit selfish, or thinking that they're the only ones that matter in the situation. And I like that. I like that there's the introduction of this different take on it. Outsider's take. Outsider in the sense that he's not part of this tight-knit group, right? But, you know, going back to, you know, him affecting Levi's decision, this guy even opened Levi's eyes in that moment, right? He allowed Levi to have an alternative perspective, because up until that point, Levi was ready to bring the commander back. At that point, he was thinking on the grand scale, right? The bigger picture, you know, what's best for humanity. And in that point in time, it was the commander, and he was dead set on that, until this red-haired guy kind of changed something, right? Changed some of Levi's thought process. Essentially, it was the idea that, you know, this guy wants the commander to come back as the demon, right? And experience some more of this hell. And that really hit Levi hard, you could tell. But, you know, staying on that rooftop scene and all of them being up there, you know, at this point in time, there are some amazing performances that you know, start taking place. Mikasa, Hanji, Eren, the voice actors for all three of them in that moment, especially Eren and Mikasa's, incredible. Some of the standout performances of the series, perhaps the best performances of the series, right, take place at that moment in time. And they were so emotionally charged, so draining, so believable. You know, I feel like they must have been so drained, emotionally drained by the end of those performances, even in the booth, right? So, you know, much respect to them for those performances. And then Hanji comes in. It's more of a somber tone, and it's just so impressive again in its delivery, and it really is deeply affecting, right? And then that scene of her, you know, first, it's like a struggle, right? Her and Mikasa, it's a struggle. And Mikasa even kind of hurts Hanji at one point, trying to, you know, escape or get out of the grip. But then it slowly turns into an embrace, right? A beautiful but heartbreaking embrace as Hanji starts to explain or Mikasa starts to understand the perspective, or Hanji's perspective, you know, that one day all of us are going to die, that you have to, you know, face the idea of losing loved ones. I've lost hundreds. Just now I lost Moblit, right? Someone, a dear friend for a long time. That scene of Mikasa slowly calming down and understanding it, and, you know, kind of closing her eyes to remember Armin one final time from their childhood, and then accepting it, incredible. One of the best scenes of the series, one of my favorite scenes of the series. Just so beautiful, man. And, you know, did you see that shot of the struggle turning into an embrace from behind? Yeah, man, really incredible stuff. And then, of course, Eren, his heartbreaking final plea to the Heicho. You know, it is just a set of incredible performances, man. So impressive. And then, you know, that shot of the red-haired guy taking Eren out, or taking him from the rooftop and kind of, you know, swinging out of there. That shot of him reaching out, man, again, another heartbreaking moment. And I feel like I've seen a similar shot like that at some point. Maybe even Armin reaching out at some point. But yeah, again, so impressive. And this episode actually reminded me of another incredible episode from a show I love, Mr. Robot. So in its final season, there was an episode that I thought was the single best episode of anything in 2019, for me at least. It was one of those episodes that the performances really carried the entire episode. It was just amazing, just amazing in its delivery. The actors, that is, they were amazing in their delivery. And the, you know, the tension they created, and just it was just so draining, much like this, and deeply affecting, you know, and emotionally charged. So yeah, I'm drawing comparisons there, you know, and I thought that was the single best episode of anything I saw in 2019. So yeah, this is incredible, you know, some of the acting on display here. Right then, so the fact of the matter is that Armin is alive, right? Now, the next steps. His life has just been turned upside down, right? He's back, but he's back in a totally different capacity, right? It's a totally different existence at this point in time. He is back as a Titan shifter, right? The implications are immense. First of all, he's gonna have pressure on him, right? He's gonna have guilt, pressure. He's gonna have the burden of knowing that he is here and the commander isn't, right? And he's gonna have that play on his mind in so many situations. People might even remind him of that at points, right? That the commander isn't here, but you are, so make it count, or that could play a role. I could see something like that happening. But again, you can't hold that against him, right? Because for all, it's possible that he didn't want that. It's totally possible that he could think that, oh, they shouldn't have brought me back. I didn't want to be back. Especially over the commander. But again, on that note, it wasn't really him being picked over the commander. It just happened that, Levi thought that this is the time to let the commander rest. And then just by default, he simply had to be brought back, right, from the brink of death. Because if the commander's not getting it, then you're getting it. They're not going to let you die if they know they can bring you back. So let's see how, that aspect plays out, the burden and the guilt of being here, and the commander isn't. Okay, so beyond that, he is now the new Colossal Titan. There's no training manual for this. Yeah, he's going to have his friend Eren by his side, and he can teach him a lot of things, right? About being a Titan shifter, things he's kind of learned himself. He can help him quite a bit, that's for sure, right? And Armin's probably even picked up quite a bit just by, observing Eren and, the tests they've done in the first part of season 3, and just seeing him out in the field. Like he probably knows quite a bit already, but again, Eren can definitely help him out here. But again, he can only help out so much, because Eren Titan and the Colossal Titan are just like opposite ends of the scale. Two totally different abilities, two totally different types of Titans. So at some point, Eren, Armin's, he's going to struggle at points, right, with this Titan shifting ability. And, in that sense, isn't it kind of fitting that, the Colossal Titan gets passed on from Bertolt to Armin, yet another gentle giant. And again, it should be remembered that this is meant to be the greatest ability of all, right? As Reiner said to Bertolt in Descent in a few episodes ago, episode 15. So yeah, it's certainly a gentle giant, Armin. But combine Armin's intelligence, he's an exceptional individual, and now he's got the capabilities of a Titan on his side as well. Combine those two, it could make for a devastating combination. So I'm excited to see how he handles this, right? And it'll be exciting to see if they show me his Titan form in the remaining episodes at some point. That he does have a decent understanding of the Colossal Titan, and even the limitations, or some of the limitations. He was able to figure out some of the limitations of the Colossal Titan, right? So he understands that, so he can implement that knowledge once he's in his own Colossal Titan form out in the field at some point. And also, it should be noted that Bertolt is part of him now, right? So I could potentially even see some kind of inner monologue moments. Could some of Bertolt's own thoughts kind of play out in Armin's mind at some point? And could that be something else he struggles with? Now then, I think that's most of the episode. At this point in time, the conflict, the big battle has ended. It's concluded. This is the aftermath, or the aftermath has played out. Armin is alive, and the commander has passed on. I feel like there's only one thing left to do now. Nothing can stop them from getting to the basement now, right? Nothing can stop them from checking it out. So finally, it looks like perhaps in the next few episodes, I might finally get to see the basement. There is nothing else I can see that would stop them at this point. So that is an exciting moment in the timeline of the series, that I finally get to the basement, man. So that'll be really exciting. And of course, the commander is going to be there in spirit, right? He'll be there. or they'll learn the truth in his spirit. So that's about it for the episode, but there are a few more quick things I need to touch on, some interesting things. One in particular is quite interesting, but going back to Reiner being ready to die and accepting his death, and not breaking and giving them any answers. In that moment, or in that scene, Hanji is going on about how he fought with the last bit of strength or energy to protect this case that has this letter, right? That's how much it meant to him, the promise he made to Ymir. That's how much it meant to fulfill that promise, to hold on to this letter, or the case that had the letter in it. And, that all but confirms that Ymir has moved on. She's all but gone at this point, right? That was the plan all along, right? She was going to go back and give up the Titan shifting ability, or give this back. But yeah, that all but confirms it, him really fighting to protect that letter. So it'll be interesting to see Historia's reaction to this letter. I'm sure it'll be a beautiful moment. And this other interesting thing that happened is that Mikasa moment, right? The headache. It's almost like an out-of-body experience. Like she becomes detached from the situation, or she goes missing momentarily, right? And this isn't something new. It's happened throughout the series. It's a reoccurring thing that happens at critical moments like this. I remember it happened really early on in the series as Hannes is taking Mikasa and Eren, right, rescuing them, and she's holding her head and she's like, this is happening again, or it's happening again. So that's something to look out for. That's something really interesting and strange. And then, but she kind of pops out of it, snaps out of it, and then she realizes, oh, the hell? Well, yeah. Interesting thing that happens to Mikasa there, this out-of-body experience almost. But that's about it for this episode. Man, that's an incredible run of 3 episodes now, and I've still got quite a bit left of this season, right? 4 more episodes. So I'm damn excited to, get to that basement. Surely in those 4 episodes, I'm going to get to the basement at some point. So if you enjoyed that, please consider dropping a like, leave your comments, give me your thoughts, consider subscribing to the channel. There's a schedule now in place, so, consider turning on notifications. So if you're interested in early access to the next episode right now, or maybe even full length for this episode, check out the Patreon page. Consider checking out the Patreon page. Maybe something might catch your eye there, one of the listings. And also in doing so, you'll be supporting the channel. And yeah, consider checking out the pinned comment. I leave important updates. If there needs to be an update, I usually update that pinned comment right at the top of the comment section. And it has links to my Patreon, it has links to my social media. So consider checking that out. Right then, so that's about it for this episode. I hope to see you soon. Take it easy.